Did you send your list yet into the North Pole?
Yes, I do every year because I want a big, beautiful box of certified Piedmontese beef every year. And this year, our holiday sale is starting November 20th. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another week of the Powered by Piedmontese podcast. And fresh off of surviving a half marathon, Joe Finnegan. How are you doing today, Joe?
Not so fresh legs, but damn, am I glad to be here.
Are you still recovering?
Yeah, no, actually, what are we, like day 4 after the race? The first day after the race, I was hurting.
Mm-hmm.
And then by Tuesday, though, I was actually, 90%. And then yesterday, I was back.
My hamstrings are still a little sore. But, I haven't done anything to really stretch them out. I've been pretty lazy, and I've been eating awful things. Awful.
Well, but you also have a right to have injured legs still because you actually ran fast. I didn't. You
coaxed it. But, it was so fun, right? I mean, your mind goes to another place. You're supported by strangers the whole time. I think it's fun. That was my number 8. I don't know how many more I want to do unless it's like in a cool place in the country to go travel and race. It's kind of a fun thing to do. Is like if you're looking for things to do when you travel to other cities, whether it be a sports game, that's a weird way to say it. Go to an NFL game, a baseball game. Running a half marathon is an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and it allows you for more, calories for food and drink.
Yes, there we go. You could do the Vegas one. Let's run at night down the strips.
Wow. You
in?
Probably not, because I don't think fun is the right adjective to use. I looked at it as 1/8 of the day.
Oh, okay.
So 1/8 of my Sunday was just awful.
Yeah, but
then the 7/8 was magnificent because I had 3,000 extra calories that I didn't know what to do with.
And now you can work on burning those off or adding back those calories all week long. But next week, back to healthier living.
Absolutely, yeah. Let the body heal and then get right back on the horse.
Because we have the holidays coming up, and no one, overeats and overdrinks during the holidays. So this is a perfect time to get on your healthy
That's a good point.
wagon, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Good luck. Okay, so let's jump into some stories today. These first 2 stories are centering around what I consider to be very stressful marriages, but also stressful over very petty things. So I look forward to your commentary.
That's just what Reddit's all about. Like my spouse and I were having some issues, so I'm going to ask Reddit.
I just feel really guilty about embarrassing these people, but they already did it to themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just get into it. Am I the a-hole for throwing away containers? I meal prep my husband's breakfasts and lunches in those little plastic compartmented containers. An ongoing argument is that he leaves the sealed containers at work. Now, he's a mechanic in a shop. So for several days, he brings home stacks of 10 hot, sealed, dirty containers that he piles on the counter or in the sink. I've asked him to bring them home every day, but he forgets. Now, I asked him to rinse them out at work, but he forgets. He can't or he won't. Now, I asked them to please take the lids off at least so they don't reek and keep them from getting worse. But he cracks the lids open kind of, just on a few. Now, there's juices, there's bits of food, and they're all baking in the heat from everything like eggs and sausage to ground beef and mashed potatoes. It's like gag-a-maggot level when you open them, to the point where there's pressure building in the containers so you get whooshed in the face with the hot garbage air. I have a few of these containers at my desk. It never gets to that level of grossness. Now, she's told him to wash his own. That's how I wound up with 50 plus containers taking up every inch of my kitchen because I don't have time to do the dishes every day. If I have to wash dishes, you just have to wait until Saturday. So I told him, fine. I cook 100% of the meals in those containers. I make the list to buy the food and I deal with the shopping. I'm the only one washing them. So if you can't use any of the options I give you to keep them from rotting in a hot shop, I'm throwing them in the trash every time I find a sealed one. He evidently didn't believe me because last night when he took out the trash, most of the bag was full of those containers. Now, some utensils were still even in them as well. He freaked out and said, we can't afford to replace all of it. I told him that's what we tell our 3-year-old about not scratching his movies because he won't have movies if he ruins them. So they have a kid. Scratches movies. This story is only a couple years old. Like
those DVDs be scratchy.
Okay, so she should have said DVDs, not movies, but semantics.
You can't scratch Netflix.
No, you can't. And the 3-year-old learned. So he's pissed that I threw away containers, and now he's eating steak and mashed potatoes with one of the toddler mini forks out of a Ziploc bag today. Am I the a-hole?
No. And he's a grown man. Pick up after yourself. I mean, I'm extremely guilty of this, being that my desk is organized chaos. I probably have like 10 of these to-go containers, but at least I clean them after I eat.
Yes.
But also it's not difficult to just throw all of those into a dedicated dishwasher load, and it's clean, and you only use 3.5 gallons of water to clean them all.
I probably throw away at least half of my containers because they are not that expensive. When you think about grocery shopping, and yes, even if you're on a very tight budget, I mean, a whole pack of those is like, what, $30 maybe?
Well, and you could even find them more economically too, because they sell those little black ones probably even like at the dollar store.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but you can buy like a month's worth of containers for $1 a day.
Right.
So to budget for these, I think is very possible. So to throw them away, yeah, sure, just do it.
Or send them in Ziploc bags. Because I mean, I'm just envisioning like a bento box with like a sealed lid. Like those are nice containers.
The whole reason I even wanted to bring this story up is because all I read was the last line where this guy's eating steak and potatoes out of a Ziploc bag. No one does that, Joe.
True.
I've never seen you bring a Ziploc bag full of food and pound that down at your desk.
Not yet.
You do. I think over in Thailand, they serve some drinks out of little baggies instead of using cups. I've not seen one person on this planet Earth eating food out of a plastic bag or Ziploc bag.
I think I'm going to do drinks and food out of a Ziploc bag next week and just not say anything.
Have your whole lunch spread based out of Ziploc bag.
Yep.
Sponsored by Ziploc.
Yep.
This guy doesn't do it. He works. So he's got a very old school mentality of my wife cooks for me, cleans for me. I'm going to come home, put my feet up. And I don't like how that works.
But also good for her for like following through. Like, you know what? If you leave the lid on, I'm throwing them away. Like if you can't take 30 seconds to take the lid off and just run it under the sink. I mean, even if you just kind of loosen some of the food, schmeckus on there.
As she mentioned, it's also like releasing the pent up air that's in these things from the rotten, moldy food.
But also like it's impossible to get like that in like 2 days.
Again, but he works in a shop, so it could be sitting on a counter for 2 weeks.
Yeah. That one needs to be thrown away.
Yes. So like if this guy's getting grouchy about that, she wants him to, or he wants her to cook for her, clean for her. This guy is a bum.
Mm-hmm.
So of course she's not the a-hole. He is, but he would never accept that.
Yeah. I wouldn't even call him an a-hole. I'd just call him lazy.
Of course.
Like there's really no a-hole in this situation. It's just pure laziness, and also kind of that old school mentality of, dinner should be served when I get home from work.
I find it also interesting that it still exists in today's world. I mean, I look at my parents. In both cases, my father-in-law and my father both cook a lot of the times. So do the moms. They're both very responsible for a lot of things throughout the house. So this being a relatively recent story, but yet stuck to such old school ways, like I don't even see where that exists anymore.
Yeah, I don't know either. But even look at our households. I mean, we do a lion's share of the cooking. Our wives
do it beautifully.
Our wives do cook, but we enjoy cooking. So like that kind of gender role has kind of went by the wayside with us.
But if we had a story explaining some of how we're cooking, this guy who works at a shop, doesn't throw any of his stuff away, doesn't cook, eats out of Ziploc bags, he's going to hear our story, and he's probably like, those guys are losers.
Yeah, who cooks their own dinner?
So like he's probably really gruff, and now we're the ones being shamed for helping out in the household.
Yeah.
Now, it'd be different if we cooked awful foods, disgusting stuff.
With mealworms.
Yes, mealworm quiches. That sounds amazing. But, we do it great. I also clean up after myself in the kitchen, because I want to know where the things are when I need them next.
And it's also easier to clean as you go.
What about loading the dishwasher? Who does that in your house?
My wife does, because she's like very meticulous with like this goes here, this goes here.
So am I.
So I just don't. I'm not allowed to do that.
Yes, I do not want my wife loading the dishwasher. She's reckless, careless, and downright dangerous.
I am as well. I just kind of throw things where I think they go, and I mean, hey, they get washed.
The most upsetting part is if there's like a knife standing up
Oh yeah.
It's like you're trying to hurt somebody. You're crazy.
Yeah, that's true. I always go, like, even forks go down for me.
Ooh, I'm fork up, but they're in the back.
I mean, you could still get stabbed by a fork.
Yeah, not if you got to be a little careful when you put stuff away. But yeah, I know that starts fights in families, but thankfully we're not dealing with throwing away containers.
Are we about to fight?
No. If we did, I hope we would at least take it out of the podcast room. We don't want to damage work property. But comfortably, she's not the a-hole. This guy's a bum.
Bum.
Bum. Okay, next story. I think the results are going to be kind of the same, but I feel very awful for this lady. And I think you will too. So I know you don't like when I read it like a bedtime story, but I'm going to try and put some emotion into the reading if you don't mind.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay. Am I the a-hole for refusing to cook? Now, I, 41 female, live with my husband, 41 male, and we have 2 daughters, 10 and 17. My husband is a picky eater, which I've known for about 20 years. I'm used to making food and having husband or kids making faces, gagging, taking an hour to pick out a single serving, or just outright refusing to eat. My husband is notorious for coming home from work, taking one look at dinner I've made, and opting for a frozen pizza. Most of the meals I make cater to their specific wants, like spaghetti. My 10-year-old only eats the plain noodles. My 17-year-old only eats noodles with a scrambled egg on top, no sauce. Oh my God. Okay. My husband only eats noodles with a specific brand of tomato sauce with ground beef in it. If I use any other sauce, even homemade, I'm going to be eating leftovers for a week. So that's just one recipe of spaghetti. These days, my husband complains that we have a lot of the same meals over and over. It's true, but when I've explained why that's true, it doesn't seem to sink in. I can only make a few things that everyone in the family will reliably eat, and those get old. A couple nights ago, I made shepherd's pie. I used a new recipe with seasoned ground beef. Now, all of them like beef, only 2 of them like peas, and only 1 likes tomatoes. And I added a turmeric mashed potato layer on top, but only 2 of those 3 will actually eat mashed potatoes. Predictably, my 10-year-old ate a single bite, gagged, and ended up throwing hers away. My 17-year-old ate a part of a single bowl, then put hers in the trash. My husband came home late and wasn't hungry.
Oh my God.
Is that a tear rolling down your face? Not yet?
I love shepherd's pie.
So I was so tired of reactions to food and putting in the effort for all these years, it all finally came down at me at once. I burst into tears, cried all night, and well into the next morning. So I told my husband I was done. From here on out, he would be responsible for evening meals. I would still do breakfast for the girls and lunch when they weren't in school, but otherwise, it was up to him. He said, well, what about when I work late? I told him he needed to figure it out. I told him that between him and the girls, I no longer found any joy in cooking and baking, that I hated the way he and the girls made me feel when they reacted to my food, and that I was very tired of the yuck faces and refusals to eat when I made something new, and that broke my heart every time. This morning he had to work, so he got up early to do some meal prep. He was clearly angry. He said that he doesn't understand why I said I hated him. He said, I don't know what to do. He thinks that I'm being unfair and punishing him. He said that I make things that don't appeal to kids sometimes, and I can't expect them to like it when I make Greek-style lemon chicken soup. By the way, 2 of the kids actually liked it. He just hated it. I countered that I make plenty of chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, grilled cheese, etc., but that, picky or not, there's such a thing as respect for a person's efforts. So Reddit, am I the a-hole?
First of all, you should never yuck someone's yum.
Okay.
Which you also do quite often.
I'll write that down. Noted.
But kids, yes, 10-year-old, but like 17-year-old should be kind of exploring their palates a little bit more.
Perhaps.
But I don't disagree with her. I mean, if she's only making like 4 different things on repeat, like, yeah, you're going to get burned out of all of those. But also scrambled egg on spaghetti noodles.
Clearly very picky things, but I just feel bad that she gave up. She got to the breaking point where she's broken. I don't know how long this went on. We've all been there like, I'm done. I'm done doing this.
Well, she was underappreciated for doing something
for years
that she didn't. I mean, she has to do it because you have to eat at the end of the day. But like, to make her husband like, hey, you're going to start cooking dinner. If you don't like what I'm cooking, cook it yourself.
And I'm guessing it's going to be a lot of frozen pizzas and mac and cheese. Not very nourishing for the kids.
No.
And I have been a picky eater a lot of my life, but I never, if there was staples in the house, like spaghetti, I never complained. I knew I liked it. It was consistent. So I'm not going to complain about that. It took me well into my upper 20s to start enjoying new foods. But like I had really nice food growing up, but it was, a lot of the same 6 meals.
Yeah, we had burgers growing up all the time. But the nice thing about a burger is you've got 1,000,007 different ways to dress the same, burger patty.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have the same meal technically, but vastly different flavors every time you have a burger.
In this family, one gets cheese, one doesn't. One gets a squirt of ketchup, one doesn't. There's maybe some better meals, but I agree. Like at some point, they're likely going to get burned out of that too. But still, it doesn't heal this lady because when she wants to try something new, to get it trashed, it breaks her heart.
Mm-hmm. Or to have one bite. They sit down for dinner at the table and it's all exciting. The wife's like, "Oh, I made a good one tonight," and then to have her 10-year-old daughter take a bite, gag, and then throw it away. That's very demoralizing.
I mean, we have a lot of. We've already mentioned this in previous episodes. That happens a lot in my family right now with our 4-year-old. Won't eat anything, but again, it's a 4-year-old. They're not 10 and 17, and it's certainly not in. If I take this as my family, like my wife's not sitting there picking at her food, not eating it, throwing it away. Like that would cause a lot of strife in not just my family, but my marriage.
I also envision like the husband here being a picky eater, like, putting like onions and baked beans, and I could see him like skirting the onions out of the baked beans. It's like you can't even taste them anyway.
This is also the guy that probably doesn't clean any Tupperware containers either.
Probably not, no.
This very well could be the same lady writing both of these stories.
At least he's making his own frozen pizzas. So he has the wherewithal to throw the tombstone in the preheated oven.
But with a grown man in the 40s and a 10-year-old, 17-year-old, one tombstone's not going to feed the whole family.
No.
Barely
even him, probably.
Yeah. I mean, can you pound down a whole tombstone?
I used to be able to.
Yeah. Everyone says used to, but like today, do you think you could do it?
I haven't had a tombstone pizza in like 10 years.
You're missing out. It is a very nice, convenient, quick Saturday. We're busy pizza.
Yeah. I don't have them as often as I'd like. I should clarify.
But this lady, being that picky, the husband needs to intervene with his kids and have a sit-down meeting and say, "Mom's going crazy for good reason. We're doing this to her. We need to find better ways to not do this and try and appreciate what we want, or provide things or directions that maybe would help."
Show appreciation and say thank you. Even if you don't like it. I mean, how many meals have we had to like choke down and say, "Oh, wow, thanks so much for dinner. It was great."
Mm-hmm.
And then when you leave, you're like, can't get enough water.
I don't know if it's a meme, but like I've seen this on social media before where it's a story of a dad who eats a slice of burnt toast. And the kid's like, "Why didn't you tell Mom it was burnt?" Like, "Well, I know Mom had a tough day and that's the last thing she needed to hear. So yeah, I act like I'd eat it because that's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to throw gas on the fire here."
No.
And so this dad's a bum. He's unengaged in his family. His kids are turds. They're kids. Like, I can't say it's a bad parenting style because they don't go into anything else that goes in there, but like they need to do something fast.
Or they need to do the meal prep of like extremely bland food.
A lot of the top comments in here, obviously she's not the a-hole.
No.
Obviously. But everyone's saying how them treating you like garbage and you don't deserve it. Like, you need to deal with this, perhaps even going to taking your family to therapy. That seems like a very expensive option too. So as we mentioned before, why not just talk to everybody first? Not screaming them at the dinner table. This feels like a family meeting at 8 p.m. Hello, family.
The old family forum adjourning at 8 p.m.
I hated those. If having a family meeting, you knew somebody's getting in trouble.
Probably usually for you, it was like off the heels of you and your brother just getting in a huge fisticuffs fight.
Yep.
Like, we just can't do that anymore, boys.
Yep. Every single time, but like, that's what we do. We're young twins, big twins, battling it out for, superiority, as brothers.
That's right.
So yeah, we went to counseling.
And better because of it.
No. We both sit there and laugh through therapy thinking how dumb it was. Like, this was such a waste of money. We're brothers. We're going to fight. So it's kind of funny.
But now you're best friends. So it all worked out in the end.
Sometimes.
Some days.
It's not when he buys cheap grocery store meat. I don't like that. And I tell him about it. And his wife's can be even worse. She wants, like, a lot of their cooking is opening up a can or dumping out something out of a box. I don't like that. You could do something to make something in your house.
It's a lot of sodium too.
Yeah, sure is. But some of it tastes good. But it's just, again, cook better. But we got off the rails there. So this lady's not the a-hole, and I hope she can find healing, like better engagement from her family.
Yes, and actually, since you read the bedtime story this last time, can maybe I read one?
Of course.
Okay, so I have one for today that is another unpopular opinion.
You remember the last one?
Yeah, I got unfairly skewered.
You got destroyed on social media.
But I don't understand why, because I didn't believe in the unpopular opinion. I just happened to read it.
Somebody probably thought you were the one with the unpopular opinion, and you got savagely destroyed.
I did, and I'm open for it again, I guess.
And you weren't offended.
No.
This is what it is. It's social media. But I'm glad you found healing and the strength to, carry on.
Yeah, and honestly, I want to see if that guy will clap back with this unpopular opinion, because I can handle it.
Well, as long as you're saying that chicken's not better than steak, I think you're safe.
It's an extremely hot take, but I'll get into it.
Okay.
So I don't care how good the steak is. It could be perfect even. It would still taste better with A1 on it. A1 steak sauce.
It's A1's making a reappearance on the podcast.
I guess. And this guy loves it.
Loves it.
All right, so we'll get into it. I hate the side eyes and comments people will make when you ask for A1 sauce with a steak. I'm sorry if I've somehow insulted this piece of butchered cow meat by pouring sauce that literally was made for it on top of it. I don't care what cut of meat or its origin. Oh, you don't understand. This piece of meat was cut from a cow that was raised by Jesus Christ and only ate grass that can only be found in the mystical land of Cowlantis.
Jesus beef?
This cut of meat costs more than Beyonce's house. It was cooked to perfection by the finest chef in the known universe. Yeah, that all sounds great. Now pass me the A1. Edit. Oh boy. Now the beef bureaucracy's on my ass. Whoops. And then gets skewered in the comments with.
So this guy clearly this is not sponsored by A1 here.
He very well could be.
Very well could be.
With his love for it.
So I've had A1 a few times. It is a very potent flavor. So if he's saying to drench something in A1, all you're tasting is A1. And it's too powerful.
It overpowers whatever you put it on.
Yeah. And we mentioned before when A1 or Heinz 57 came into popularity, I don't know, probably not the 50s, 60s, 70s, it doesn't matter. The meat quality at that time wasn't great. Or maybe at the time no one really invested in Prime or a heritage breed program like ours. So you needed a touch of that powerful steak sauce to make something more enjoyable.
Or it could have been, not true beef cattle products. It could have severe dairy influence.
Yeah, so you need the A1 just to make it more enjoyable, which there's nothing wrong with that. But now, assuming you're buying, there's access to so much better meat out there. It's hard to find bad beef.
So
nowadays
he does have an edit on here because he was getting just obliterated.
Of course.
And his kind of association is quite comical. He says, take vanilla ice cream. On its own, top 3 ice cream flavor of all time. Now add things to the vanilla ice cream and you could make it better. The key is to not overpower the stuff with whatever you're adding. And as for reference, Super Bowl champion quarterback Patrick Mahomes eats steak with his ketchup. So
I believe so does Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I would never.
No.
So Patrick Mahomes, Donald Trump, whoever the case may be, they just must like the taste of ketchup.
Or here's a little take. They could prefer the taste of sweet over savory.
Yeah. I mean, it's the sugar.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to imagine there's sugar in A1. Have to.
Yeah.
I don't have the bottle in front of me to look, but if you have a great piece of meat and you want to dress it up, remember that one story about that guy who was longing for that steak sauce? This guy probably just grew up with it.
Right.
And you shouldn't be villainized because, A1 was always part of your family dishes, whether your parents, again, couldn't afford nice steaks, so they just adapt it here and there. I don't know why it became so unpopular in the first place. What macho savage guy out there said, A1's for losers?
Yeah. But only A1, because if you do a steak shoe or au jus, that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
Or a béarnaise sauce or a chimichurri, that's all okay.
So it's just more the stereotype or the optics of using it. You're not as much of if you, not to make a sexist comment, but you're not a man unless you eat steak or just steak on its own.
I wonder how much of it's actually just being a like processed food or like processed good because it comes from a jar or it comes from a bottle versus like you're making chimichurri, you're making béarnaise, you're making the steak jus. So it's like it's homemade, so it's okay.
But it's also any processed food. Some of its appeal is because it's convenient. It's cracking a bottle and a little drop. You don't have to chop the herbs and do all these things, season it right, season and taste. Like they've nailed the production of that to have it be consistent every time.
So that was a pretty unpopular opinion, but do you have A1 in your fridge at home?
No, I haven't had it probably tasted A1 since I was a kid. And it's funny. So this has probably now been close to 30 years. Oh, no, sorry. No, not that old. 20 years.
Jeez.
So I got a birthday coming up. I don't even remember how old I am, so it always gets tossed around.
You're years old.
So it's 20 plus years since I've had it, but I can still tell you what it tastes like.
Yeah. You don't forget the taste. And I'll come clean. I do have a bottle of A1 steakhouse or steak sauce in my
Monster.
But I didn't purchase it. Someone brought it over when I didn't cook them a certified Piedmontese steak.
So, and they left it there as paraphernalia in your house?
Yeah. And I just look at it. I don't open it. I don't touch it. I just look at it. And
serves as a constant reminder, right? To make sure you buy better beef.
Yep.
So you don't need to use it. But, our restaurant here once made a copycat of an A2 sauce, but a custom scratch-made steak sauce. That was pretty good. But again, it was so powerful. Like, again, find sauce that complements a steak.
Yes.
Not overpowers it.
Correct. And I think that's why people have a problem with A1.
I actually have more of a problem with ketchup. Ketchup does not belong with steak unless it's like a well-done steak.
See, I'll put ketchup on like an omelet that has steak in the omelet.
Sure.
Because
it's like putting salsa on eggs, It's the same thing.
But the ketchup, like some people like really turn their nose up at that, but it's like sometimes that egg gets so dry that you need something to bring back.
But you're not eating a steak there. You're really eating an omelet that has steak in it. There's a big difference there.
True.
But interesting, that unpopular opinion doesn't really paint you as the monster there so much. But you did admit that you have A1, so the keyboard warriors out there, if they hear that, they're coming for you.
Yep. I don't eat it or use it.
For the record, I don't eat steak one or A1 steak sauce.
I don't like it.
Nor will we ever now be sponsored by A1. So we wrote off sponsors, so that's kind of concerning. Someone's got to pay to keep these lights on.
Yeah, but have you had W sauce?
Oh, I love W sauce. W sauce, we want your money. Before we head off, we introduced a new segment last week called Random Things from Joe's Desk. It was electric, right? I got a lot of positive comments about it. This week, it's a more obvious gift, but it's a hat.
It's a brand new certified Piedmontese hat.
Now, it's not available on the website yet, but one thing we did do is we added a bow to it. And why would we do that?
Did you send your list yet into the North Pole?
Yes, I do every year because I want a big, beautiful box of certified Piedmontese beef every year. And this year, our holiday sale is starting November 20th. Isn't that exciting? It's coming up.
Should we kind of tell them what the deals are?
Yes, hit them up.
All right, yeah. So we've got a site-wide sale starting on November 20th for 25% off the entire website.
And we also have a huge range of gift boxes that ship for free from $99 and up. So you can gift to anyone, whether it be in Alaska, Hawaii, Florida, Nebraska, you name it. We'll ship it there, but these beautiful boxes ship for free.
And they truly make a tremendous impact around the holidays because what do we all do around the holidays?
Eat.
We eat. So why not eat the best with, hopefully, the best company?
Yeah, so gift better beef this year, and you can do that exclusively on cpbeef.com.
Easy enough. We'll take all the guesswork out of that impossible person to shop for this year at cpbeef.com.
Yeah, happy holidays. We'll see you next week.